Yo, what's happening with what's happening?
Welcome to What's Happening. I'm Brad.
I'm Fred.
It's a show we talk about what's happening. What's happening with you, bro?
Not much, man. Just chilling on this Memorial Day. I did my queuing yesterday, so I ain't had to do nothing. Just sat back and chilled, man. I even got to take a nap today. That's something I don't never get to do.
Take a nap?
Man.
Man, only time I take a nap is when I'm sick, bro. If I'm not sick, I don't have the ability to fall asleep usually in the middle of the day. I gotta be asleep, or I gotta be sick, or honestly, that's really it, bro. If I'm not under the weather, I'm not feeling it, man. But while you was over here sleeping, I was doing a little bit of everything, bro. I moved my stove out of storage into my sister's garage. I did my thing on the grill a little bit. You know, wasn't nothing to brag about because I bought a pre-seasoned. I was at Costco on Saturday, and they had this steakhouse tri-tips. It was just a beef brisket, but that John was seasoned wonderfully. You know what I'm saying? But I did that. A little bit of asparagus, a little bit of shrimp. Yeah, man, it was cool, man. I mean, I've been ripping and running since 8 a.m. And so while you was napping, I was out here handling things, man. We got a pool. While I was at Costco, man, everybody talk about like Target taking your money, but Costco will get you up on some change too. Walked in there, just walking by, and I see a pool, and I'm like, oh, that's cool. End up getting the pool, man. The wife inflated that for the kids. Had that filled up while we was grilling. It was a good day though, a good Memorial Day. And so I mean, this will be Wednesday when most of our listeners, or sometime after Wednesday when most of our listeners hear this. So happy belated Memorial Day to everyone. Hope that was fantastic. Hope everybody enjoyed it, and with family and things of that nature. And I got a question for you, bro. What do you think about it when people say like Happy Memorial Day to the veterans?
So, look, it's actually been that long. So about 5 years ago, I say, I was actually schooled because I stay up here in Kentucky. You know, we 10 minutes outside of Fort Knox. My father's a vet, never has once said, I got plenty family members as vet. You know, I just thought it was a holiday that you celebrate, just all soldiers, kind of like Veterans Day. So it was just like a second holiday. And then I was coaching an AAU team, a sixth grade AAU team, and one of my parents out of a few of them was soldiers, and he was actually my assistant coach. So Memorial Day came. We was at practice, and I'm like, hey, happy Memorial Day, you know what I'm saying? All you vets is here, whatnot. And he was like, hey, bro. He was like, you know what I'm saying? He a brother, too. He was like, hey, it's not a happy day. He's like, for one, he was like, and two, he said, I'm alive. He said that's for fallen soldiers, you know what I'm saying, that's no longer with us, that's gone before us, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, well, damn. He said, but don't feel bad. He said, because about you and almost every other person in America that thinks everybody the same doing shit. That, bro. It was like, so it's not you, but he was like, I just try to take that chance because as you see, there's like, 6 vets out of your parents, and not one of us was going to say something if I didn't say something. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were just going to let it be like they let it be for any and everybody else. And he like, nah. He like, that's not, you know what I mean, what it is. So, with that being said, I think it would be good if people direct it in the right way. You know what I mean? And to know that, hey, this is not for the ones who are still here. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know if there's a way we could really help the ones who are here, because this is still a serious day, because those are still some of those battle buddies to guys who was, you know, shoulder to shoulder in the trenches with, who made it back home and the guy next to him did. So I don't know how to necessarily, you know what I'm saying, do on this holiday for the ones who it is really affected.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. You know, I always just think whenever I see people say, like, you know, Happy Memorial Day to, you know, such and such veteran, I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just be scratching my head. And then, but I'd be like, man, like, you know, that somebody to say that got the absolute best intentions. So,
Right.
like, it's just one of those things. It's just awkward. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, my I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a weird place to be.
And Trina, I need to know how we get into these finals.
Look.
I'm trying to go.
she working in relationships, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, I mean, you know, speaking of relationships, I'm gonna try to make a relationship out of this segue, and I can't do it. That's your job now.
When you said it, I thought about it like, yeah, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Unless you about to pull a rabbit out of a hat and know of a relationship that helped make this, you know what I'm saying, vote go through, then I don't.
Listen here, man.
So there is no segue for this segment. We just gonna have to hop into it. It just is what it is. Just
gonna hop into it. So, this week we wanted to take an opportunity to talk about it with it being the end of May, and by the time we get to, well, when this episode drops, it'll be June 1st. At some point in June, don't know exactly when, but the newest Supreme Court judge, Justice, or future Justice, I guess, Ketanji Brown-Jackson, she will be joining the Supreme Court. And so this was the first time, you know, a black woman was confirmed to the, you know, to the court. And we wanted to, you know, really kind of talk about what that, you know, what that means. And the impact of that in general, forgive me. So I do want to go ahead and throw out a little disclaimer. You know, last week's episode, for those of you that have listened, and if not, please go back and listen. But those of you that listen, we had Brittany on from Unapologetically Black. We talked about, you know, Sasha Banks saga and all of that. And at the end of that episode, we told you guys that Brittany was going to be back. Brittany has some, if you guys can hear it by now, those of you that are watching us live, we're recording this on Memorial Day. Things got away from her, family things and things of that nature. All good things. But Brittany ended up not being able to make it as scheduled. However, it also just so happened to work out that for this episode, I decided to lay out some questions to say, you know, let's attack these different points here. And while we won't have Brittany's voice and presence on this episode in a physical sense, or whatever physical in terms of being able to hear it means, y'all get what I'm trying to say. Brittany was nice enough to send us her thoughts and things of that nature. So we're still going to have Brittany's thoughts, just not her actual voice. And I hope that makes sense. Basically, she typed out some answers, y'all, and I'm going to read them to you. So we got 5 different questions that we're going to ask surrounding the nomination and confirmation of KBJ to the Supreme Court. And what we'll do is we'll use Brittany's answers first. And I think that's just the best way to go, given that we wanted to have the voice of a black woman. We're going to let Brittany's answers take the lead. And then me and you, Fred, can get in there after that. How's that sound?
Sound perfect to me.
All right. So first question was, how did you feel when you heard about the nomination of KBJ? And Brittany said, when the nomination was announced, I felt a sense of pride. As an HBCU graduate, to finally see a black woman from DC even be considered to a Supreme Court justice felt like a win. A long overdue win, 233 years, but a win nonetheless. Representation is so important, but at the same time, as black people, we wait with bated breath to see what the outcome will be. Will she actually make a difference, or will her voice be silenced? So that was Brittany's answer to how did she feel when she heard about the nomination. What about you, Fred? How did you feel?
I'm agreeing with Brittany 100%. It was definitely long overdue for a nomination to this, effect. Nonetheless, I agree. We always want to see what she's going to do or if it's even going to make a difference. But I think it still made a difference because it says that, any of us can do it. You know what I mean? That if you really stand for what you believe in, follow through with your plans, you can make it to these higher statues that we're not used to seeing our people in. And, I think that there is a win within itself.
Yeah. I was, admittedly, I was a little annoyed when I heard, not so much when I heard about her nomination, but when the prior justice, when it was announced that he was retiring, I remember seeing a tweet. Y'all know I read them presidential tweets. I read a tweet from President Biden, and he said basically, and I'm paraphrasing to a point. He said, blah blah blah. This and that. Thank you for your service to the guy that's retired. Something to that effect. It was like, I'm excited to have the opportunity to nominate a black woman, and I was just like, why are you pandering? Like, why are you doing that? And I was wrong for that. And the reason why I thought that was because I forgot, and actually not forgot, I did not know that he, or at least I just didn't remember that that one of his campaign promises was that if he had the opportunity to nominate a black woman, or to nominate a Supreme Court justice, that he would nominate a black woman. I totally missed that piece of it. So that was just me dropping the ball on that. So like me missing that made me think like, are you just trying to play the race game to try to get black people to love you? So once I realized that this was a campaign promise, I was like, okay, cool. This is him actually, and he had an intention to say black women needed to be represented before, he knew that he would ever have a chance to do so. And then when he did get a chance to do so, he followed through on his word. So from that perspective, I felt pretty good. And I'm a big believer that representation does matter. So that's why I said did I say I was annoyed when I heard, or did I say I was mad? You have no volume, bro.
You said you was annoyed. But,
okay. I just want to make sure. Like, I was annoyed. Because I just thought that, it's something that should happen, but I thought that President Biden was, trying to tug at some heartstrings. And so, I felt better about that. But, absolutely representation does matter. And, I was happy to see that it happened. So the second question was, did you watch any of the hearings? Brittany's answers again. I watched some of the hearings as well as the comparison of KBJ's hearing to Amy Coney Barrett, and the difference was night and day. The Republicans completely berated KBJ and all of her life's accomplishments by saying public defenders, their heart is with the murderers, with the criminals, and that's who they are rooting for. And even accused her of being soft on pedophiles. She was questioned on every aspect of her career and philosophy. She was questioned on every aspect of her career and philosophy, and was not given the easy out of, I would not express a view on matter of a public opinion, especially one that is politically controversial, because that is inconsistent with the judicial role. Amy Coney Barrett. Okay. She was saying that like Amy Coney Barrett was able to kind of cop out, and KBJ did not get that same opportunity. So from there, what's your thoughts, Fred? Did you watch the any of the confirmation hearings?
I did not. Not in full. I think I might have seen bits and pieces from snippets, that was made online or whatnot. But the thing is, I think you're gonna be tested before any big, advancement. So it's kind of to be expected. Is it fair? No. But the last time you look at anybody that went up for a high or a powerful position, they tested. Their character, just who they are as a person is always tested. What their beliefs is tested, ideology. So it is to be expected, I don't think that's something that's far-fetched, to see or hear. And then seeing somebody else, being able to cop out or not have to go through the same thing. There's always those ones that's in the race that doesn't have to explain everything. In the election, anything that you're going up against somebody, it seems like there's always going to be somebody that has an easier road or a route of sitting there and putting their name in a hat. But if it's not worth fighting for, is it worth having? So at the same time, that's how I look at it. I'm going to be tested. Whoever's next person is going to be tested if you're going for something. So in that sense, it is just part of the process at that point.
Yeah. I didn't watch a lick of it. None of it.
And I want to also say that, that it's sad, but for our people, the majority of us wouldn't have a clue into this ballpark. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't pay attention to this stuff. You know what I mean?
So for me not watching it, it was, I knew the numbers were there. We got 50 Democratic senators. They had, Vice President Harris to break the tie if needed. It was going to happen. I knew it was going to be ugly to watch. While I didn't watch anything, I got a couple political podcasts that I listened to, and just, hearing the pieces that I heard was more than enough. It kind of justified in the sense of what I wanted, or not what I wanted, I'm sorry, of what I expected and what I wanted to avoid. So no, I didn't watch it. I didn't want to go through it. So much of our politics is a game, and we'll probably get more into it towards the fall, or in the fall rather, when we get into voting season and things of that nature. But so much of our politics is a game. It's how do you get the numbers on your side, and then once you have the numbers on your side, it's almost like playing Battleship, I guess. And I know when we did the game episode, I said I never played Battleship, but just like you're just making your move when it's the best time to make your move, not necessarily what's best and what's needed for the world. So all that's had to say is that I knew that the confirmation would happen no matter what, and I knew that it would be ugly to watch and ugly to listen to, and the snippets that I've heard confirmed that. So I did not make time for it, and it was not fair. So the next question was, what was the impact, or what is the impact of her confirmation, the political impact of KBJ's confirmation? Brittany's answer again: as a Democrat and former public defender, KBJ's appointment to the Supreme Court should add more value. Her opinions, beliefs, and policies align closer to the average American. However, as we have seen recently with Roe v. Wade, the public opinion doesn't seem to matter, with 90% of Americans against the overturn. Democrats are still egregiously outnumbered 6-3, and it seems the justices are going to push their own agendas regardless of what the American people want. When it was leaked that they were going to overturn Roe v. Wade, the fingers were immediately pointed at the new Democratic Supreme Court Justice KBJ, and I'm sure they will find other reasons to attack this woman's character. So what do you think is the political impact of her confirmation, Fred?
Well, I think her political impact is going to be from two sides. You could look at it. One, it may help bring more of, African American or Black people out to vote or to feel like there's a voice, because we have somebody in there that could help, pass or make a decision, or maybe even, somebody that's going to have a following. One thing about us is we tend to back up our people regardless. You know what I mean? It's just what we do. Like, look at it when Obama was in office, how we all wanted to change that history. You look at the vice president, changing that history. We back up our people. So in the same token, if it was up to us, it wouldn't have been even a matter of a question by a landslide. Nobody listened to a hearing or nothing. All you had to do is say, hey, get out and vote. We got a Black lady that's trying to get into a political high power, and we coming, and that's so from a political standpoint, she can have a spin on certain things, with a majority that a lot of people can't. So you have to look at it, for what it is and what she could bring to the table just by, who's gonna back her.
I think that, we say that we're going to support ours, and that's like a general blanket statement.
It is.
But I think that there are some people that take it literal. Like, because, you ain't putting... I know, right? Herman Cain wasn't about to win no type of nomination... Nothing, and he passed away from COVID back in 2020. So maybe it was 2021. Doesn't matter. He passed away from COVID, and so I don't want to necessarily disrespect the dead, but I remember in 2012 when he was running for the Republican nomination, and I remember just looking at him like, they just wanted a Black guy to go for it. Like, what is he? Nah. So when we say like we just gonna support ours, like that's true to a degree. Like you can't just be out here just.
I mean, you can't just be anybody or just be out here doing anything. But I mean, and that's the sad part about it is, if it's somebody special, because we make sure it's known. When it's just anybody, I don't know how that happens. But it seems like we get behind the right ones and we just kind of let the ones who know they just out there as a pawn or just out there doing something, they just kind of fly through the cracks. Nobody really hear of them. Nobody really know about them. You know what I mean? And it's a way that we have, and it's unexplainable. You know what I mean? But it's something that we do.
Yeah, I mean, back to the question, her political, the political impact of her confirmation. We have someone making the laws that is a Black woman, that we've never had. I mean, and it's we just talked about it earlier. Representation matters, and in that role and in many other high-ranking roles in our country, Black women have never been represented. I mean, it's only been a year and a half that we've had a Black female in the White House, as the vice president. Obviously, Michelle Obama as well. But the point that I'm making there is that, when it comes to understanding how things affect people, that's a group till this day has never been has never been represented in the highest court in the land, the court that can strike down laws, you know, at any time. You know, a position that is for life, you know, that you either decide to retire or you die. Like, that's it. That's that, like, so, I mean, it's huge from that perspective. And, you know, I'm thinking about a couple weeks ago when, you know, you and I were talking and, you know, we had found out, you know, just before we started recording about the leaked draft opinion regarding Roe v. Wade. And, you know, I remember I was just saying, hey, like, you know, Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed away. Boom, boom, boom. You get Amy Coney Barrett. Boom, boom, boom. 6-3, right? And we're just like, what can happen? And now we're looking at potentially, here's what could happen. And you know, maybe, you know, ideally, you know, you get that piece of representation in there. You have that conversation. You know, maybe she could turn some eyes, turn some hearts. And not so much turn hearts, I don't want to say that, but offer a perspective that they aren't getting outside of that courtroom.
That's exactly it. And that, you know what I mean, is really just the gist of it. Like I said, feeling like we have a voice that when decisions are being made, when making sure our side is represented when decisions is being made, so they know how it's affecting everybody. And one thing I want to say also before you move on, bear with us as we do this with this new software, because I really didn't mean you know, well, we didn't mean to skip over anything or not acknowledge, because the reason that we're doing this is because we want to be able to have the comments and the input. And from the first question, Trina, you know what I'm saying, threw in having a nomination for her helps break the glass ceiling to give hope to those who looks up to her, that others who come from similar backgrounds can and will go as far as she is. And so I want to make sure I throw it in there, and, you know, I'm going to throw your next one up, Trina, and we'll just go from here. But make sure that we, you know, come back here and check out what y'all are saying so that we can add it in and add more input and dialogue to these conversations. So she says, I guess this may just be.
My bad. I guess I should have, for the listeners, I guess I should have added that piece of it in, is that we are actually using new software. You know, Fred has said that a couple times, but we are actually doing this live. And so those that are on Facebook are able to watch us live, have this conversation, and you're able to comment in real time. And we can see those comments and respond to them accordingly. I should have added that in. And that's why, if I feel like maybe as we're going through, this, like, I'm not as like sharp as I usually am, or I'm not as, like, you know, pointed and focused as I usually am. And it's the comments. I'm just not adjusted to it yet.
Yeah,
I'm not blaming I'm not blaming our live listeners. We appreciate y'all. Don't get me wrong. We appreciate y'all being here rocking with us. I'm just saying that, like, my cadence
so late.
my cadence is a little off from usual, so forgive me on that one. And you know what's funny? I saw Trina's comment. I think Trina's comment is actually a better fit for the next question, though.
For the next one, so I'll go ahead and drop it, and then we'll go ahead and move to the next question real quick.
So the next question was, what's the social impact of KBJ's nomination? So let me get Brittany's answer in here first. The social impact goes beyond the political impact. It is so important for Black people, especially children. Just being able to see someone who looks like you be able to achieve a goal that white people have told us for centuries we are not good enough to achieve. We always have to work 10 times harder to be considered the same to our white counterparts. And then, so looking at Trina's first answer, to having a nomination for her helps break the glass ceiling, to give hope to those who look up to her, that others who come from similar backgrounds can and will go as far as she is. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's like 30 seconds off limit, Manny. And then Trina's next comment was, "This may be just a small ripple in history, but it's sure to make a huge wave in making sure that it's represented a larger portion of Americans not currently represented by rich old white men who've never experienced what she has."
And I agree.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, for me, when this normalizes this for the future, and so I think about it, when me and you were kids, the thought of having, an African American person in the White House, man, one day I remember we used to always have the jokes that, man, I don't know if I want to be the first black president, because as soon as they get up in that joint right there, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what the joke used to be. And I
could get killed if you was the first one, because they weren't gonna let nobody run their country,
right?
But,
and I even think about it seemed to be unrealistic that you would have a woman. It was unrealistic, not unrealistic, but it didn't seem real that we would have it in our lifetime.
I wouldn't say it wasn't thought of. I wouldn't say it was unrealistic. It wasn't thought of, like, because of the fact that having a black man in office was so far-fetched. You know what I'm saying? I think it just wasn't something that was thought of when it came to a woman being in office. Because of my government name, I used to say I'm gonna be the first black president just because I have a presidential name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was so funny because we, always would just grow up and we'd be looking at the presidents and I'd be like, yeah, Bill Clinton gave me hope because, he got my first name.
There you go.
What I mean? Like, I was, and it's crazy for something like that small be the only thing I could relate to is like, oh shit, I got the same name as, one of the presidents. I mean, that's my chance there, because you never thought of seeing Barack Obama in our lifetime from, how we grew up. And now, I think we're just closer to seeing that anything's possible. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's anything far-fetched anymore because of the strides and the leaps we've made in humanity and making these changes.
Right. And then so to kind of wrap up my, even 30 years ago, it'd have been a shock to see a black man. What year did Head of State come out? What was that, 2000? When the movie where Chris Rock was the president? Head of State?
You might be right. I actually got that movie in the room.
and like, even that, that was 8 years before President Obama was elected. And the point that I'm making is that, now somebody who is my kids, right? When all of my kids, well, all except my youngest, all of my kids were born. Three of my first three children were born when President Obama was the president. And so black people being in the White House, it's going to be like, it's going to seem normal. And, there's probably, there's teenagers that are probably like, yo, like, why would there not be like this? Because it's like, it's just, if it's what you always know, it's just what you always know. My kids can't process life before Netflix and before Disney Plus. Like, what do you mean? Like, you have to wait for the show to come on? Like,
same with my kids. You know what I mean? Like, they don't get it or understand. Like, you had to wait for a show to come on. Like, y'all can rent and see movies that's in theaters months after it's been in theaters playing. We had to wait a year and something for a VHS copy to come out in stores. You know what I mean? Like, man, you almost forget about the movie until they drop it back out on VHS. Like, oh shoot, yeah, I need that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, that's just to the point now where it's just so. When
normal.
You have these things happen, it just becomes normal, and that's the social impact. It's not going to be unrealistic for a black kid to grow up and say that they want to be the president, or that they want to be a Supreme Court justice, or that they want to be try to not do it, an NBA coach, where now half of the leagues, as of this moment, half of the league's coaches are black. First time that's ever happened in the league history. 76 years and counting. And so these things are just normal, and that's the biggest piece of it.
Well, I mean, if you go back to your head of state reference, just think if that movie didn't have a comical side, would it even been what it was? Like, would it be acceptable back then? Because it wouldn't be relatable. You know what I mean? Like, for it to have a comical side is what made it acceptable and fun. It was more funny. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, I can see this. It was just like, this is some funny stuff right here. Because if it was more of a serious type of presidential movie, that kind of depicted realism or real acts of, terror or whatnot that happens, you'd be like, ain't no way in the world. This don't even make sense. I'm not finna watch no mess like this. You know what I mean? Just because that's the time it was. Right. So.
And then, so the final question that we had was, what did the confirmation mean to me? And this question was primarily meant for Brittany as a black woman. And then her answer was, to me, as a black woman, I can only pray that she will not just be used as a political pawn or a token black girl. I hope that Ketanji is able to take her skill, knowledge, and beliefs and actually make a difference. I truly don't believe we will see a change anytime soon, but I can only hope that in our lifetime we are able to see her and other black women shine in these higher up and prestigious positions. What you think on that, bro? Just responding to it.
No, and that's real, because I have, young black daughters, and, that's a realistic goal to see from her and want, from her, because it's more than just getting in there and saying, okay, I've made it, I got a position, can't nobody touch it no more, I don't got to do nothing else. You gotta still light the torch that leads the way for the ones that come after you. That there's more work to be done. And that's, what I'm saying, the ideal of it is to, not only get in that position, but to leave a legacy that, young black women can hang their hats on and stick to, later on and say, hey, she made a difference. She tried, you know what I mean? Somebody needs to come after her and continue, the trail she blazed for us.
Yeah, man. You talked about having daughters, and I was thinking the same thing. I got 2 daughters, and it goes back to what we just talked about a few minutes ago. It normalizes these things. My youngest daughter is 4. Like, she's going to look back and be like, yo, like, when I was 2 or 3, the first African American vice president, the first female vice president, all happened when I was 3, and then a year and a half later, she's able to say, yeah, a black woman became a Supreme Court justice.
Justice, yeah.
And like, it's literally going to be all her life that she's had black women in these high ranking roles in our government, which is important. And I keep coming back to that same point. It normalizes it, and for the future, it's progress. I think about my grandmother. My grandmother, she just turned 83. She was born in 1939, and I sometimes just sit back and think about things from her perspective. First off, to be born in 1939, she's lived in
some shit, bro.
She's lived in 10 different. She's lived in 10 different decades.
Yeah,
she's lived in 10 different decades, right?
You can see it change.
Like, she was an adult. She was a grown woman when Martin Luther King was assassinated.
That's dope.
She voted she voted for Barack Obama. She was, and I should mention that she was born in Memphis, Tennessee. Like,
oh yeah, she's seen some shit.
You know what I'm saying?
It got wicked out that way.
And that's where, you know, I think we get frustrated with progress, but like, I always just think like, man, like, if you live long enough, you're gonna see it. Just, you know, hopefully you live long enough.
I mean, it's just a blessing to be able to live long anymore these days anyway.
Listen,
you know what I mean? So
quiet as a cat.
I'm grateful for what I have got to see, you know, come and go, and for what the good Lord will bless me to, you know, see keep coming. But man, it's crazy right now.
You know, you talked about it being, you know, it's a blessing to be able to live long, and you know, I heard you on another podcast say that you made it past the stigma. You made it past 25.
Well, it wasn't that I made past the stigma of just being 25. I was really saying that more to capture the idea of making it out of high school without any kids graduating. You know what I mean? Making it to at least being you know, I mean, hell, if I'd have stayed and went to college, I'd have graduated college without any kids at that point.
So,
you know what I mean?
That was twice that I tried, and that was twice I had two terrible segues. It's all yours, Coach. You got the title. And what I was trying to segue into
is that I did another podcast and basically come check it out. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause we kept it down there in the group. I see where you was going with it, but
listen, I had the idea to put I just didn't know the zip code for the GPS. You know what I'm saying? I had the address. You know what I'm saying? Was it a suite A, suite B? You know what I'm saying? That's the part I was missing out on. You know, but yeah, you were on Life and Wisdom Speaks, which the acronym for that show was LAWS. You know, I very much enjoyed that. I'm gonna mute so I can sneeze.
Do your thing. It's all good. But yeah, I was on Life and Wisdom Speaks. Hey, it was a beautiful time, you know what I'm saying, I gotta say, because we really got to jump on some questions, and I think it still left it open for that subject. Like, anybody could really jump into that subject, and there's so much more to divulge out of that. And I really think and enjoyed the conversation and what I learned from the other gentleman that was there, you know, and just the different, you know, age gaps, and, you know, from our kids and from us as being parents. So the different perspectives. So it was really great.
Yeah. So you were on there with the panel of, was it 4 other fathers?
Mm-hmm.
And what I loved about that was that, you know, like me and you did an episode on fatherhood, but, you know, our kids are all close in the age range and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like me, like, you know, my youngest is 4, your youngest is 1 now, but you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, you know, Serena and Jackson are, 7 months apart maybe? You know what I'm saying? So, like, we kind of in that same range. But the point that I'm making is that, you know, that y'all had, one of the guys, he was in his 60s and he had kids in his 30s, and
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was an awesome conversation on fatherhood. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was very diverse, I think.
When is it dropping on the podcast feed? Do you know?
I really don't. I'm not sure how she really does it. I wanted to say it was probably dropped right after we recorded it live, but I didn't get too much detail. You know what I'm saying? Didn't get too much detail on how she really dropped her feed, because I think she's still learning. It was only her 3rd episode, so, you know, for her 3rd episode, she's coming with some heat. That's
fire.
For
Napalm. You know what I'm saying?
Straight up. I ain't mad at her. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Miss Barb, you know what I'm saying, on Laws.
Shout out to Miss Barb.
Podcast. Go check that out if you haven't. Go check out the episode that I was just seeing. If you're a father, there's some jewels in there. You know what I'm saying? There's some heat in there, some different insights and opinions. I can't express enough how, great that conversation was, and every father should just take a listen.
And honestly, that was the episode that put the battery in Fred's back to say, let's go ahead and just try out the StreamYard joint real quick. We've been talking about it for a little while. Unapologetically Black with Brittany's using it. That got me kind of wanting to look into it a little bit more. Fred had an opportunity to see it on his own. He's like, oh, no, we got to do this.
Well, especially when we spent that one night with I Don't Care What You Think podcast. I can't think of my man's name, but we were trying to go on live on Facebook. We didn't have audio from, everybody. It was horrible. So I think, everything just happened timely. You know what I mean? We added the group page. We got it going real quick. Then we came to StreamYard so we can go live to them. Everything's falling in place. Just stick with us, you know what I'm saying? Help us grow. Help us, you know what I'm saying? Just be heard. If you like what you hear, as Bradley would say, love is a verb. Share, you know what I mean? Do your thing. So, hey, we here. You can do your normal if you want to run down the whole socials and all that, but we already on social media, so it's what's happening. Come see it.
So, first of all, what I would really love for y'all to do is to give us some feedback. Hit us up, what's happening at gmail.com. Hit us up on the DMs on Twitter at what's happening, TikTok at what's happening, Facebook what's happening, Instagram what's happening, whatever. Hit us up. I would love to get some feedback on this kind of layout here. Like I said, this is the first time we did it. It's just kind of off the cuff, going at it. Let us know what y'all think. Do y'all want to see more episodes like this in the future? What's up? And then also, check out Laws. Check out all the podcasts we work with. Laws, Unapologetically Black, I Don't Care What You Think podcast, and ingenious perspectives out here in this joint.
Yeah, what's Richard Patton, Parrish Patton?
Entrepreneur Kickback, that's my dog.
There's another one. I mean, any of them that we fuck with, it's some heat on there. Straight up, good people. And if you do go check out that Laws, generally each person on there does a podcast. So if it's something you want to hear from one of them, we would love to have some of them on ours. So just let us know who you want to hear from, and we'll lock that in.
For sure. So let us know what y'all think. And be with y'all next week.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to What's Happening. If you enjoy our show, we'd love for you to take a moment and leave us a 5-star rating in your podcast app and to share the show with a friend. Fred Scott and myself, Brad Robinson, are co-hosts and producers of What's Happening. Our theme song is Capital by Gets G. You can get that song and all of our music from Epidemic Sound. Follow us on social media at What's Happening. That's WHUSHATTNIN. We are on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. You can find Fred and myself on social media as well, and all of our social media handles are in the show notes. Thanks again, and we'll see you next week.